Hey guys, Janelle here with Blakely Interior Design. I get asked questions all the time through Instagram, Facebook, social media, and you name it, even my son's hockey game. Design questions, how to do certain things, how to address certain things. So I decided to launch Design Dish, which is a video series where we answer your burning design questions. So for our first question of Design Dish, we have it coming from Stephanie of Charlestown, Rhode Island. Here's what she writes. Dear Janelle, I love how you use color in your designs. I wish I could be that brave, but I tend to take it safe, which ends up making my rooms look boring. I'm fearful that my home will turn into a circus because I'm not sure how to use color properly. Please help. Well, Stephanie, thanks for your question, and I'm here to tell you it doesn't have to be complicated. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how many colors you should use in your space, about how to divide those colors so that they work effectively with one another, and how to pick the right color so that they harmonize with one another. And then I'll wrap up a little bit telling you a few do's and don'ts. The first is to probably start with 3. You're gonna see a lot of rooms that, if you look in magazines, that have a lot more than 3 colors in the space, but as a starting rule of thumb, start with 3. You're gonna have your main color, which is your primary color. That's going to be about 60% of your space in terms of its color. Typically it's going to be your walls, it's going to be large pieces of furniture, and this anchors the space. The secondary color is about half as much in terms of the color use as your main color. And this is typically your draperies, your bedding, accent pieces of furniture. And the idea is that it's different enough than the primary or main color. I shouldn't say primary because then it makes it sound like it's a primary color when it's not a primary color necessarily. But your main color in the space, and that it's different enough to create interest and it's not overpowering. And it also sets the stage for your third color, which is your accent color. And this is typically decorative accessories, your throw pillows, and your artwork. And in my opinion, even though it's the smallest percentage, it has the biggest impact. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we used this 60-30-10 color rule in a recent project that we did. If you look at this entry that we did in Wakefield, Rhode Island, you'll see that the main color in the space is a complex neutral or tannish beige color. You'll see it on the walls, you'll see it in the console, as well as a little bit in the rug and the natural fiber basket, and creamy colored mirror. The secondary color is the blue. We've got some in the rug, which you can't see a whole lot of in this photograph, but there's mostly blue in the rug, as well as in the accent ottomans that are underneath the console. And the accent color is the orange. That is a kind of a corally orange. It works beautifully with the blue and the tannish beige colors we have on the wall. And in my opinion, it really pulls the entire space together. If you look at that photograph and you think of taking out those orange lamps, doesn't that feel a little flat? And that's what I mean about it being 10% is small, but it really has a lot of impact. That's also one of the things that you could pull out. So let's say we take out those lamps and we put them in with a emerald green lamps. It would totally work, but it completely changes the vibe. So in my opinion, it's easy to change the accent color, and it has a lot of flexibility as well. So that's a little bit about the 60-30-10 rule and how we used it in one of our spaces. So I'll give you a few do's and don'ts before we wrap up. The first is don't be afraid of color. Push yourself a little bit beyond your comfort zone and do something that makes you a little nervous, but if you follow these rules, you should be good. One of the main things to keep in mind when you're doing this is to look at the colors that are currently in your space. If you think about the countertops or the floor color or perhaps the stone that's in the fireplace facade, they're all going to have a color undertone within them. Even if they're basic colors, you're going to see that they either skew very warm or very cool. And that leads you to my next do, is to really try to get a sense of a difference between a warm color and a cool color. A lot of neutrals, there's a ton of grays out now, which is fabulous, but they are complicated. And you have to get a sense of whether or not they run as a cool gray or a warm gray. And cool colors are typically your blues and your greens, and your warm colors are your oranges and reds. And you want to have a nice balance of those. If you had everything in a cool environment, then it starts to feel really cold. So you want to add in a little bit of warmth. And in that example that I showed you, the orange lamps, they offset the blue, which is opposite on the color wheel, which brings me to my last do is to use a color wheel. If you're not sure how to use color, these things are really valuable. This one's, you could get this off the internet, and they probably have basic, even internet virtual tools to use as well. But it shows you what's complementary, and opposites are always complementary. And then this walks you through if you wanted to do 3 separate colors from the color wheel, it shows you exactly how to use it. So for example, if you wanted to have, let's see, blue, you wanted to do 3 colors and you had blue, and then you could also bring in yellow, which is here, and then this reddish color here, so it goes like this, all right? That's not tried and true, and there's a lot of variation on that, but it just shows you what works really well with each other. It also shows you here that you can have a variety of different combinations of color schemes, so complementary, split complementary, a triad, which is the one we just walked through, as well as monochromatic and analogous color schemes. So if you tend to be a little afraid of color, maybe you want to go a little more monochromatic and create interest in the space, and you can still do that. So this is really helpful. Okay, I hope that that was really helpful for you, Stephanie. I appreciate your question, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. Well, there you have it. That was our first episode of Design Dish. If you like what you heard, stay tuned because we have more coming, but we would love to hear from you and your design questions. So hit us up on social media. @Blakely Interior Design is our handle for all, and we look forward to seeing you next time.